Over the past 4 years, many Americans have received various forms of stimulus, from the $1,200 stimulus checks to the $600 checks, $1,400 checks, PPP funding, and enhanced unemployment benefits. However, there is now a significant possibility that the United States government may seek to reclaim this money. If you received any of these benefits, the government might attempt to take it back. Today, I want to thoroughly break down the current situation. There is an intense battle happening that could lead to millions of people losing their jobs and thousands of businesses shutting down. This is a critical issue, so if you received any stimulus, it is essential to watch this entire video to understand what is happening. Additionally, share this video with your friends, family, and colleagues on Facebook so they too can be informed. If you appreciate these daily updates, please take a moment to hit the like button. Now, let's delve into the details. Millions of Americans received the $1,200, $600, and $1,400 stimulus checks with the understanding that they would not need to repay them. These checks were considered free money. However, this distribution of funds has significantly contributed to massive inflation, causing many businesses to close and making life considerably harder than it was before the pandemic. The IRS is now being tasked with scrutinizing spending and tax credits, specifically targeting improper pandemic-era small business tax credit claims. The rejection of billions of dollars in these claims could result in thousands of businesses failing, as these credits are crucial for their survival. I recently had a detailed conversation about the federal government's efforts to recoup the money spent over the past 4 years. Experts believe the government will attempt to get their money back. For instance, the IRS is investigating over 1 million claims worth approximately $86 billion for the Employee Retention Tax Credit. They have identified 10 to 20% of the highest-risk filings, with tens of thousands of claims set to be rejected in the coming weeks. Additionally, another 60 to 70% of claims deemed to have an unacceptable level of risk will undergo further examination. Only about 10 to 20% of these 1.1 million claims might be paid, while the remaining 80 to 90% will be withheld until further investigation. This situation is particularly problematic because the IRS now has the funding to aggressively pursue these claims. They are scrutinizing all types of pandemic-era benefits, including stimulus checks, PPP loans, enhanced unemployment benefits, mortgage forbearance, and rental assistance. If any of these benefits were received fraudulently, the IRS could come after the recipients, potentially causing them to lose their homes or businesses. The Biden administration has stated that they do not want to raise taxes on anyone making less than $400,000 per year, so the government is exploring other ways to reclaim money and reduce the deficit. With inflation still above 3%, far from the Federal Reserve's 2% goal, and the country facing massive debt, the government might try to reclaim everything it has given to reduce this financial burden. I want to highlight a specific example to illustrate the seriousness of this situation. A viewer recently wrote to me about the Employee Retention Credit, expressing concerns about the IRS deeming their claim fraudulent and potentially denying it. This viewer had filed for the credit due to their business being shut down during the pandemic. They had kept all their employees, significantly impacting their finances, and the Employee Retention Credit was supposed to alleviate this burden. However, they are now worried they won't see any money back. The Employee Retention Tax Credit is a refundable tax credit against certain employment taxes, offering up to 50% of qualified wages. The IRS is targeting these claims because they believe many of them are fraudulent. With a backlog of 1.1 million claims, the IRS has identified that a significant portion of these claims, worth roughly $86 billion, are high risk and will be rejected. This could result in only a small percentage of claims being paid out, with the rest withheld for further investigation. This issue extends beyond the Employee Retention Credit. The IRS is also scrutinizing stimulus checks, PPP loans, enhanced unemployment benefits, mortgage forbearance, and rental assistance. If any of these were received fraudulently, the IRS could pursue the recipients, causing significant financial distress. This could even lead to losing homes or businesses. The government's efforts to reclaim this money are driven by the need to reduce the national deficit. With inflation still high and the country facing significant debt, reclaiming this money is seen as a necessary step. This is why I am issuing this stimulus warning. If you received any funding from the federal government during the pandemic, the IRS could investigate it at any time, even years from now. They will likely start with larger companies and significant claims, but could eventually scrutinize smaller amounts as well. The expectation is that reclaiming this money is one way to reduce the deficit, similar to returning items bought on credit to get a refund. The government's approach is to take back the money it has distributed, much like returning purchased items to pay off a credit card debt.